The Philippine Statistics Authority reports that the inflation rate for the month of October remains at 6.7%, which is the same as last September. Let's find out why from Monokson.
The headline inflation rate in October stayed at 6.7%, the same rate of increase in basic commodity prices in September, but still a 9-year high, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. The PSA notes that the rise in rates of housing, utility, and transport are the main contributors to the steady inflation rate. Domestic airfare grew after the Civil Aeronautics Board approved the implementation of fuel surcharge last September. Food prices, on the other hand, slightly slowed down except for rice and fish.
Yung pagkain talaga malaki ang kanyang bigat sa ating basket ng pamilyang Pilipino pag tayo bumibili ng mga produkto at serbisyo kada buwan.
Areas that registered high inflation rate are the Cordillera Administrative Region, Mimaropa, and Region 2, whose agriculture sector suffered damages during Typhoon Ompong's onslaught last September. Bicol Region still has the highest annual rate of 9.9% in October, while the inflation rate in the National Capital Region slowed down to 6.1%. Central Luzon, meantime, has the lowest annual gain at 4.4%. The PSA says Metro Manila is currently doing better, noting a pattern of easing commodity prices.
Sa Metro Manila, medyo bumagal na yung pagtaas ng presyo compared sa buong Pilipinas on average.
Some consumers, however, have varied reactions on this observation.
Medyo bumaba na po, kaya salamat naman at bumaba na.
Sa isda, mahal pe, no, Glo?
Ganun pa rin, wala pa rin pagbabago.
Malacanang meanwhile believes the current rate is the result of anti-inflationary measures taken by the government. To recall, President Duterte issued orders in September aimed at intensifying food importation to boost supply and bring down prices.
Well, apparently the measures undertaken by the government has affected the inflation rate, so we'll maintain them.
Monokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Vice President Leni Robredo and several lawmakers are urging the Duterte administration to implement more anti-inflationary measures, such as suspending the value-added and excise taxes on fuel, water, and electricity. Grace Casin explains why in this report.
House Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries Chairman Henry Ong calls on President Rodrigo Duterte to suspend the Bureau of Internal Revenue regulations implementing the fuel excise taxes of 2018 and 2019. This is to ease the country's inflation that surged in the past months. Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Zarate echoes Ong's sentiments, pressing as well for the suspension of 12% value-added tax on fuel, water, and electricity. Senator Bam Aquino meanwhile urges Congress to work together in passing the House Bill No. 1798, dubbed as Bawas Presyo Bill. The proposal seeks to amend the tax reform law and add a safeguard ensuring the suspension in the collection of additional fuel taxes once the inflation rate surpasses the government's target for 3 consecutive months. If excise tax on fuel will be suspended, around 3 pesos will be deducted from the price of oil, while 120 pesos will possibly be reduced on fuel, water, and electricity rates if the 12% value-added tax will be suspended. Vice President Leni Robredo believes it is high time to review the subsidy placed under the train law since the inflation remains at 6.7%.
Una, yung listahan, kung tama pa ba yung 10 million na tutulungan. Pangalawa, yung amount, yung 200 pesos a day, ba tama pa? Considering na nakwenta yun bago pa nagkaroon ng inflation.
Presidential spokesperson Secretary Salvador Panelo meanwhile assures to forward these suggestions to the President. For its part, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas said in a statement that the passage of rice tariffication bill is expected to tame inflation in 2019 and 2020. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Senate committee pushes for the passage of bills looking to provide more benefits for government workers following the approval of a 25 peso minimum wage hike for employees in the private sector. Here's why from Nel Maribo.
The proposal seeking to provide night differential and hazard pays for night shift state workers and those working for more than 8 hours a day has passed in the second reading of the Senate plenary. Under the bill, 20% of the basic hourly rate should be provided to employees whose shift begins at 10 in the evening until 6 in the morning. The proposal, however, does not cover public health workers and uniformed personnel because they have different salary rates. The bill's author, Senator Antonio Trillanes IV, believes that employees of public and private sectors should be given equal benefits. Senate President Vicente Soto III, meanwhile, pushes for a salary upgrade for the employees of the Commission on Elections, as well as the reorganization of COMELEC district offices. Soto says the proposal is in response to the appeal of the COMELEC Employees Union for substantial and just salary adjustments. Around 5,000 COMELEC employees are expected to benefit from the said bill. Its counterpart measure has been filed in the lower house, authored by House Speaker Gloria Arroyo and other lawmakers. Although the bill has yet to be deliberated, the COMELEC Employees Union already expressed gratitude for the said move.
Hindi nagkaroon ng substantial na movement, upward movement ng salary grade ng mga empleyado ng COMELEC.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Thousands of operators still find it hard to get copies of the new fare matrix from the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board. Because of this, the agency decided to transfer the release of fare matrix in their central office to decongest their NCR office. John Nano tells us why.
There is no long queue of operators at the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board Central Office earlier today. The release of new fare matrix is being done at the central office following the effectivity of fare hike among buses and jeepneys. Some operators were surprised with the fast issuance of fare matrices that it only took them several minutes to get a copy.
Amazing! Akala ko nga, ina-expect ko magulo hindi nga Hindi nga naabutan ng tao, ubos kagad.
Dito, nung pagdating ko nga rito, medyo nagulat nga ako, organized nga rito eh.
But what the operators are complaining is the worst situation in the LTFRB NCR office where the assessment of documents and payments for the new fare matrix are being done. Some of the operators went to the LTFRB NCR office as early as 4 o'clock in the morning and it had taken them until 1 o'clock in the afternoon but their documents are yet to process.
Ngayon, binigyan na ako ng assessment. Hahaba naman ang pera ng cashier. Kaya uwi na po ako at gutom na gutom. Talagang mahirap. Maraming tao.
The UNTV news team went to the LTFRB NCR office to personally see the situation, but the security did not permit us to enter in the office. LTFRB Chairman Martin Delgra explains that even before the long holiday last week, copies of the new fare matrix were already prepared in their regional offices. He adds that the influx of operators in their offices are unexpected but inevitable considering the days that had gone by.
Hindi naman din po tayo nagkulang kasi the fare matrix have been ready even a week before that week during the holiday. I just don't know why the driver operators did not opt to get the fare matrix early on. I would not call it mishandling. It just happened na nagdagsaan yung nagpuntahan ng mga operators.
Apart from the difficult process, the operators were also complaining of the sudden increase of fees that they have to pay for the new fare matrix.
Na ang babayaran nila ngayon ay hindi na yung 520 plus na filing fee ng increase ng pamasahe at 50 sa matrix na sinasabi kundi 610 na. Yan na ngayon kasi siyempre, alam mo, wala rin pera ang mga operator natin. Baka eksakto lang ang dalang pera.
Chairman Delgra vows to review the said processing fee for the release of new fare matrix but assures that all fees collected will be remitted to the National Treasury. Meanwhile, the LTFRB is still in the process of reviewing the current fare structure in accordance with the directive of the Department of Transportation following the price rollbacks in petroleum products. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The ManilaRTC Branch 42 has denied the request of Now Telecom to stop the National Telecommunications Commission from implementing some of the provisions of its memorandum circular on selecting the country's third telecommunications company. Undersigned on November 5, Judge Dina Aguila Topacio rejected the company's request for writ of preliminary injunction. The Now Telecom has earlier claimed that some of the provisions in the NTC's memorandum regarding the bidding are questionable. Now Telecom has received a copy of the court's decision and is now ascertaining their next step regarding this issue. Meanwhile, the Agricultural Department assures there is enough supply of rice in the country despite the damages brought by the recent Typhoon Rosita. Victor Cosare tells us why.
The Department of Agriculture reported over 100,000 hectares of agricultural land were damaged during the onslaught of Typhoon Rosita in northern and central Luzon. Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol said the damage costs around 2.6 billion pesos, in which the rice fields were the ones that suffered the most devastation. Because of this, Piñol said the country may not be able to reach its target harvest of 19 million metric tons of rice because the recent typhoon damaged about 800,000 metric tons or more than 16 million bags of palay. Nevertheless, the DA said this year's yield may still surpass the volume of production in 2016, and the agency assures there is enough supply of rice in the country. Typhoon Rosita also hurt the poultry industry, such as in Isabela, but Piñol said the agency already provided assistance to the affected sector. Meanwhile, the government-to-government bidding for the 203,000 metric tons of rice to be imported by the Philippines failed. According to NFA Assistant Administrator Mercedes Yakapin, Thailand and Vietnam did not accept the conditions of the importation, particularly the timing of delivery, which was supposed to be in December this year. But the agency is confident of the country's buffer stocks as local farmers are already helping with the needed volume.
So now we are able to buy because of the additional incentive we give to the farmers. It's helping.
She also noted that the implementation of this adjusted retail price in rice is helping the consumers cope with the rising inflation. With this, Secretary Piñol said retailers are opted to follow the SRP, which means lesser possibility of profiteering.
Actually stable yung supply ng bigas, pero ayaw ko no maulit yung sitwasyon na naubusan ng NFA rice sa merkado.
The Agriculture Secretary also confirmed that the importation of 750,000 metric tons or 15 million bags of rice will push through before the end of the year. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development and other government agencies have provided relief assistance to survivors and families of victims of a landslide incident that hit a village in Natonin Mountain Province. According to Natonin Mayor Mateo Chiawan, each family received at least 15,000 pesos, while the DSWD will provide burial assistance to the bereaved families to cover funeral expenses. 16 bodies have been recovered in the ongoing search and retrieval operations, while 12 others remains missing. Aside from attending to the needs of the families affected by the landslide, the DSWD continues to monitor the status of the evacuation centers that are still open in the province.
Naka 14 checks na kami nang na-release. And pag ma-terminate na itong search and retrieval by Friday at talagang missing ba ngayon, bigyan namin din sila ng 10 to 20,000. Yung mga missing, family ng mga missing.
The Spice Girls are coming back for a 2019 British Stadium tour without fashion designer Victoria Beckham, who performed as Posh Spice during the group's 1990s pop heyday. The band says Beckham would not take part because of business commitments, but will always be one of the Spice Girls and remains aligned with Emma, Mel B, Melanie C, and Jerry in preserving their unique legacy. The tour will mark the first time the group, best known for the 1996 hit Wannabe, has performed together since the 2012 Olympics. June dates have been scheduled in Manchester, Coventry, Sunderland, Edinburgh, Bristol, and London.
Some of the cabinet members of President Rodrigo Duterte received a lecture in Malacanang on illegal drugs and lawless violence as a national security problem. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
Security officials conducted a briefing for some cabinet executives on illegal drugs and other matters facing the country at the Malacanang on Monday. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo says the lecture was a repeat of the recent national security meeting held in Lapu-Lapu City, Cebu that was attended by some cabinet officials. According to an advisory released by the Malacanang, the briefing is about illegal drugs and lawless violence as national security problem.
Of course, we feel that national security matters is very important other than the usual concerns of the state. And members of the cabinet have to know.
Panelo adds that President Duterte also wanted his cabinet officials to understand the reason behind his move to appoint men with military background in the bureaucracy. Panelo, however, was quick to clarify that this does not mean that the cabinet members have doubts on the appointment system of the chief executive.
Because not all the members of the cabinet know the rationale behind.
Meaning, are there kind of misgivings from
Oh,
other?
definitely no. It's
None.
more of information to them so that they will know how to explain when they are asked.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Malacanang confirms that Chinese businessman Michael Yang is one of the consultants of President Rodrigo Duterte and he is being paid 1 peso a year by the government. Duterte previously said that Yang is a rich Chinese businessman who owns Los Amigos stores in Mindanao, but he denied in a press conference last October 9 that Yang was his economic advisor. Malacanang has yet to confirm if there is a government contract or appointment paper for Yang.
Yeah, one of the consultants of the president, he consults him every now and then. You know, Mr. Yang is a wealthy man. He has rose from poor origins to being a wealthy man, and he has a technical know-how how to run a business, and also because he is Chinese, he knows a lot of people in the Chinese government.
Second
And
question.
he knows the psychology of Chinese. On that aspect, the president needs people like him.
A police officer was killed during a police buy-bust operation in Dipolog City. Leah Ilagan tells us why.
A police colonel was killed in a drug buy-bust operation carried out by the Philippine National Police Counterintelligence Task Force in Dipolog City, Zamboanga del Norte Monday night. The PNP official has been identified as Police Superintendent Santiago Ilanan Rapiz, who was assigned as a logistic officer at the Zamboanga del Norte Police Provincial Office. PNP CITF operatives conducted the operation around 7:40 in the evening Monday at the Andres Bonifacio College compound, Dipolog City. Police Superintendent Rapiz tried to escape after realizing that he was transacting with an undercover cop. The police gave chase until they were able to corner the fleeing suspect, who pulled a gun and fired at the cops, sparking a gunfight with authorities. Rapiz sustained gunshot wounds during the exchange of fire and was rushed to Corazon Aquino Hospital, where he was declared dead on arrival.
As per our pusher buyer, pinaghintay siya dahil naglaro pa siya ng basketball. That's the reason bakit naka-short at hubad siya dahil ang nangyari yung transaction doon sa loob ng sasakyan niya sa Bonifacio compound, Dipolog City. Nagkatakbuhan doon.
Police recovered from the crime scene 112.13 grams of shabu with a street value of 700,000 plus, buy-bust money worth 50,000 pesos, and a 45 caliber pistol. Karamat said Rapiz is on the list of ninja cops and also on the narco list of President Rodrigo Duterte for allegedly serving as a protector of slain drug lord Melvin Odicta.
When he was assigned in Region 6, and allegedly he was receiving 700,000 pesos weekly in Region 6 from the different drug personalities in Region 6. His name was came out as a drug protector when several high-value target was arrested by PDEA.
A lifestyle check on Rapiz revealed that he lived a luxurious life with 5 houses and a number of expensive cars. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Krame.
Another Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court judge inhibits from the drug-related case filed against Senator Laila de Lima, but the prosecution plans to appeal for the reversal of the judge's decision. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
Judge Lorna Domingo of Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court Branch 206 voluntarily inhibits from the drug case of detained Senator Laila de Lima. This was in response to the motion for inhibition filed by de Lima's camp on October 15. Based on the 5-page order of Judge Domingo signed on Monday, November 5, she opted to inhibit from the case to show her good faith on both sides, though the court sees no reason for her to inhibit. De Lima accused Domingo of premature ruling over the lady senator's motion to disqualify all 13 witnesses of the prosecution, who were convicted drug traffickers, robbers, and carnappers.
We raise issues against the handling of the case, although sinabi naman niyang nagbigay siya ng dahilan kung ba't hindi raw totoo yung aming mga aligasyon sa kanya, but just the same, para daw may mapanumbalik yung tiwala sa sistema ng hustisya, voluntaryo siya nag-inhibit. So we'd like to thank the judge.
The prosecution, meanwhile, is planning to file a motion for reconsideration for the reversal of Domingo's decision. Lead prosecutor Attorney Romancito de Ocampo says it would be better to have the case retained under Judge Domingo's jurisdiction.
We will be filing a motion for reconsideration, and we fully hope that taking a second look, the judge may have a second thought, and he may reverse the order and change her mind, and to continue to discharge his mandate as the presiding judge of this court and not to be influenced.
Judge Domingo's inhibition from the case means the trial is now deferred. Aside from Domingo, other judges who inhibited from de Lima's case were Judge Juanita Guerrero, Mayra Quiambao, and Antonieta Medina. Former Muntinlupa RTC Branch 206 Judge Patria Manalastas de Leon inhibited due to her early retirement. Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Thousands of overseas Filipino workers are guaranteed to enjoy the benefits of having an OWWA OFW e-card. JL Asayo will tell us why.
Overseas Filipino worker Gilberto Dularte has been working in Saudi as service crew over the past 10 years. And every time Dularte goes home, he would encounter hassles in going through long queues of document processing from the time he steps into the airport. He adds that he undergoes the same scenario whenever he updates his papers and settle his dues as OFW at several concerned government agencies.
Kasi dati nung una pa, nung wala pang mga ganitong card, talagang pagtsatsaga mo na pipila sa OWWA para makabayad ka lang ng OAC mo para makabalik ka ulit sa pupunta mo sa abroad.
But now, things will be easy for Dularte to transact and process his papers with different concerned government agencies. This is through the newly launched Overseas Worker Welfare Administration, Overseas Filipino Worker or OWWA OFW e-card by the Department of Labor and Employment. Dularte is one of the 250,000 OFWs who will enjoy different benefits of having OWWA OFW e-cards, which can be obtained free of charge.
Basta sa lahat na ng transaksyon dito pwede nang gamitin kaya lang wala nga lang pera nga daw to.
OFW e-card holders can easily access the different programs of OWWA, welfare services, scholarships, trainings, social benefits, and many more through online. This will also save the OFWs through its paperless transactions. The e-card can also be used as an exit clearance whenever leaving the Philippines.
That the card will benefit OFWs in many ways possible. And the e-card is not just proof of OWWA membership upon payment of the required contribution, but as a means for easier access to OWWA programs and services. And that the card also functions as a government-issued ID card.
OFWs can apply through online and can claim their IDs to any regional OWWA offices. As the benefits and programs developed, services of e-cards will be extended to other agencies such as Department of Foreign Affairs, Bureau of Immigration, Tourism Infrastructure and Enterprise Zone Authority or TIEZA through an open database and easy link. JL Asayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The Singapore Red Cross marks the 5th year since Typhoon Yolanda despoiled parts of the Visayas region with a photo exhibit featuring victims of the superstorm. Joel Camposano tells us why.
It has been 5 years since Typhoon Yolanda, with an international name of Haiyan, ravaged much of the Visayas region in the Philippines. But for Therese Chan, the chief of Singapore Red Cross International Service, the memory of the devastation and suffering it left remains fresh to her mind. The Singapore Red Cross is one of the first international groups to respond after the powerful storm leveled Tacloban City and other provinces in the Visayas. More than 6,000 people were killed due to Haiyan, which was considered as the deadliest typhoon on record.
Honestly, after the disaster happened, we saw the destruction and it was massive. What came to our mind, the biggest priority is actually not on fundraising and mobilization of resources. What we were thinking is how to reach the people and how fast we can support and how we can maximize our support in Philippines. It's only after the first or second team then we realized that we really need the funds, because we really need to mobilize more funds to support the community because the damages were really massive.
To mark the 5th year since the major disaster struck, the Singapore Red Cross opened a photo exhibit to the public last November 2nd, featuring Filipinos who showed resilience in the face of utter desolation.
It is a tribute to our Filipino friends for standing tall in the face of adversity. The exhibition is also presented with heartfelt appreciation to our donor community.
The photo exhibit also depicted untold stories of several survivors from different provinces, including Cebu, Palawan, Leyte, and Samar, where the Singapore Red Cross launched 12 rebuilding projects. Photos from those affected by Storm Kitsana in 2009 and Bofa in 2012 were also on display.
The first thing I noticed was you don't find people angry, having lost a lot of things, you don't find them sad. In fact, on the converse, they seem to be very happy, cheerful, and everywhere you go, you see the sign, ruthless but not hopeless.
I was really inspired by the survivors of the typhoon because of their resilience, their ability to rise again from whatever nature has thrown their way.
Napakalaking bagay yung at least yung maalala natin yung nangyari doon sa mga kababayan natin at yung yung naging tulong ng mga brothers and sisters natin, hindi lang dito sa Singapore but in the entire international communities.
Post-Typhoon Haiyan, the Singapore Red Cross worked closely with 12 partners to build the long-term resilience of the typhoon-stricken communities. These projects benefited some 87 affected communities and positively impacted an estimated 1.5 million lives. Joel Camposano, UNTV News and Rescue, Singapore.
Filipino singer Marcelito Pomoy expresses his gratitude to Wish 107.5 following his recent guesting on the Ellen DeGeneres show. Leslie Longboan tells us why.
Marcelito Pomoy is known for his ability to sing in both male and female voices. And through his Wish-clusive performance of the prayer, Marcelito gained the attention even of talk show host Ellen DeGeneres and was recently invited to her show.
Nais ko magpasalamat sa Wish 107.5. Thank you so much sa inyo. Kasi kung hindi po dahil siguro sa inyo at sa Wish 107.5, hindi po siguro makapunta doon kay Ellen. Kaya thank you so much.
Marcelito is thankful to Wish 107.5 for serving as his gateway to showcase his talent before an international audience.
Nakakatuwa kasi hindi mo akalain Pilipino ka tapos syempre nandun ka sa ibang bansa tapos tabilib mo yung mga ibang lahi, di ba? Syempre proud to be Filipino.
After his much talked about guesting, Marcelito is now practicing for the ASOP Year 7 Grand Finals. The Grand Finals will be held at the new Frontier Theater, formerly Kia Theater, on November 11. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
So much. Maraming salamat po. And those are the reasons behind the stories in the second part of our newscast. Y News returns with William Thio. I'm Angelo, Castro III. Good evening.